Welcome to Spaghetti on the Wall, where we throw ideas, see what sticks, and nurture those that do. I'm your host, Armando Leduc, an actor, entrepreneur, and coach, giving you insights that light up your world. We're here to explore the realms of business, marketing, and life, serving up a shot of inspiration with every episode. Ready to make ideas stick and grow them into something great? Let's dive in. Yes, it worked. I know last week, we had some sort of cybergeddon happening, and nothing was working, but today it's working. So
we got it. We're here.
Super happy to have you. We're talking about getting unstuck. We're talking about you've done the work, and the mindset you think is where it's supposed to be, but it's not necessarily there, and you just feel like you're sort of in that mud. And so today we are interviewing good friend, Dr. Maritsa Yzaguirre-Kelley. What a mouthful. I love it. And she's a licensed therapist, master transformational coach, and the founder of Obtaining Mastery, with over 20 years of experience in mental health, emotional health, healing, personal transformation. And she specializes in helping high-achieving individuals who are feeling stuck despite doing the work. So I really appreciate you being here. I was fortunate to meet you in the Mastermind Flight Club, and what an amazing place to meet people just of a different, just thought process. And talking to you immediately was just like, you need to do this, and you do this, and you do this, and this. I'm like, all right, I can't take notes that fast. So appreciate you being here.
Oh, thank you for having me. I'm excited to be
here. Thanks. So give me a 2-minute backstory. And I know you've got a lot of chapters in the life, but just kind of bring me through the 2-minute backstory on how you got to where you got.
Yeah. So I started off as a teacher. From being a teacher, I decided I wanted to be a therapist. Even before that, I was a personal trainer. So I've always been helping people in some sort of way, whether it was physically or emotionally or with education. And I became a therapist. I opened up a drug and alcohol treatment center, did that for a long period of time. And I realized that it wasn't completely in alignment with what I wanted to do. I loved helping people, but it was really stressful, and I like to more flow through life. I don't like a lot of stress. Not that I can't handle a lot of stress, but I'm just kind of why?
Yeah.
So I don't think it has to be that hard. I think sometimes, and I'll talk about that later today, but I think sometimes we glorify this hustle lifestyle, and it's just not what I want. It's not one of my priorities. My priorities is more of hanging out with my kids, hanging out with my husband, hanging out with my friends, my parents. I just told you we most recently lost my grandma. And every time something like that happens, it reminds me that I don't have any regrets. I was able to be in the people who I love's lives on a daily basis, whether it's on the phone or in person. So that's kind of what gave me the huge transition, because in the other industry, working a 15 to 18-hour day was the norm. And I just didn't want to do that anymore. So that's how I got here.
So I have this problem, and I often take my podcast as a selfish approach, but here's my issue. I fill up my plate, right? Mm-hmm. And I'm like, I don't necessarily, I'm a hustler for sure, but I don't know if it's a hustler mentality or just my eyes are too big for the plate sometimes, right? And I just feel like I can take on all of these things, and if I purge, right? Because my mantra is purge, marry, simplify, right? Purge, marry, simplify, always. But then I'll find myself with the time allotted, and then I'll throw more shit on the plate, right? And it's just and it's a never-ending cycle. And so how do you navigate somebody like me that's just God, it's not almost conscious. It's just a way of life for me. That's just if there's going to be place there, then I'm going to fill it with something else. Right.
Yeah. And that's a very, very common thing for people successful like yourself, business owners, entrepreneurs, CEOs, a lot of the people I deal with, moms. They fill up everything till there's no space left for themselves. Remember, we grow in space, right? So I always say, like, embrace the pause, like allow yourself to grow, because when you're constantly packing things on, you're actually doing more harm than good. So you work out, we're about the same age. So, when we were growing up, sitting down was like a bad thing. Or if you sat down, you sat in front of a TV, or eventually in front of a computer, or now in front of your phones. But, I'm in the White Mountains right now. Very few times do we actually just sit there and enjoy the space, enjoy the silence. Being a therapist and being a coach, sometimes when you're in a session, there is silence and people get uncomfortable in the silence. People get uncomfortable in the not busy. So what happens is they want to fill it up because they're like, oh my gosh, I got to do something. I got to do something. It's that nervous energy. Instead of just sitting there and being like, this is uncomfortable and that's okay. And going through the discomfort, going through whatever emotions, because that's all of a sudden when, realizations happen, is in that pause where things come up for us. And when things come up in those moments of silence, those are the things that we really need to reflect. Think about if you go to the gym and you work out super heavy every single day and you don't ever take a rest, you're actually doing more harm to your muscles than good. So that's where I think is the most growth is going to happen, is when we pause. And that's part of our subconscious rewiring. So I have a SHIFT acronym that I use. And the first part is S, subconscious rewiring. Like, allow yourself to just let go of the need to hold on to everything. Because remember, when we're holding on to things and then all of a sudden we can't receive in that space, you can't receive blessings or good things or things that are coming for you if you're preoccupied with everything else.
Valid. How do you quiet a mind like that?
So this is where the work comes in, right? Because it sounds so much easier than it is, because you're like, okay, well, just stop it. And people are like, what? Just do what? Just stop it. And there's actually, there's a funny, I can't remember his name, but there's a Saturday Night Live, I think it was, funny thing where the guy's just yelling, stop it, stop it, stop it. And it sounds so simple. And then we overcomplicate it, right? Well, I can't. And we use language like that it's super disempowering, right? And we'll say things like, I can't. Well, why not? And we don't question our own thought process, and we don't question our own values or beliefs. We just say to ourselves, well, I can't. Well, what's going to happen if you don't? So for you, Armando, like, what would happen if you just stopped? If you just took the time and you didn't fill up your plate all the time? What would happen?
What would happen? I know that the epiphanies do come in those moments. Like, they really do. It's so funny. My sister's like, I just don't understand your brain. She's my project manager. I just don't get it. Right. And I'm like, sometimes I'll sit in bed and in the silence, I'll get the ideas. But like, if I don't write them down to release it, it'll keep me up.
Yeah.
Like, keep me awake. But like, some of the most transformational moments in my life and decisions and epiphanies that I've had have been because of the silence and the, and just the time spent not doing anything creates those, So yeah, I totally get it. It's just, I guess the workflow of the reminder to slow it down and to like take things off of your plate, because I try to plan things ahead of time, and so I get to the next week and all of a sudden my week is like full, and I'm like, I did it again. So I guess the workflow for me is the thing that I need to remember to, hey, along with scheduling your Spaghetti on the Wall podcast and along with scheduling, family time and along with scheduling all of that, you have to schedule the don't do anything time and then treat it as sacred.
Yeah. And that's the thing. It's we tend to compromise on ourselves. And that's why I wrote down for, a lot of our rituals are rooted in survival. I got to do, because if I don't, I'm going to fail. And, I've got to be in control. It's got to be perfect. It's the overgiving, the overproducing, it's the kid who eats like that and covers his food, and he has a plate full of food that he can't even possibly fit in his stomach, but he's going to do it because he's so afraid of so afraid of being hungry.
I don't know. And I don't even know where it came from. Cause I'm still like that. I'll just fast eating, moving, and everything is just like constant. It's just a constant thing. And yeah, you're right. Sometimes I think we are uncomfortable. I'll speak for myself. I do get uncomfortable with the silence, right? With the just being with myself. But I find that when I do spend more time doing that, I get more comfortable in that space.
Yeah, it's getting comfortable with the uncomfortable. And when we take the time to pause and when we take the time to remember who we are at our core, and that we don't have to do everything and we don't have to say yes. And for me, the last 10 years of my life have been, instead of a doing, they've been more of an undoing, right? Because I spent the first 30 plus years of my life doing. I mean, I worked 3 jobs while I went to college, double full time, because I took 8 classes a semester. And then in grad school, I took 4 classes, and I worked 2 jobs and did an internship. So it was like, go. And I remember, I'll never forget. I remember coming home and I was in the shower. And I just remember I was like eating while taking a shower, while like trying to then brush my teeth. And I remember just started to cry. And I was like, I do not have time to cry right now. Like, I have someplace to be. And I was like, I do not have time to be upset. And I was like, that's so crazy to think that we're not allowing ourselves to enjoy our lives. And, I think it really helps. I'm very close with my family, and, my parents are a little bit older. My grandma, who just passed away, she was 95. And I think when you are around people who have been around that long and you actually sit there and spend time with them, I made a conscious effort to be at my grandma's at least once or twice a week for the last, few years, and really sit there and listen to stories, and sometimes just hold her hand. And sometimes we're just watching Wheel of Fortune or whatever. It reminds you of the things that are actually important. So for me, the first part of my life was proving who I am, and ego and degrees and letters behind my name. And now it's been more, even up to 3 or 4 years ago, I was constantly traveling and speaking all over the country. And now I'm like, yeah, I don't want to do that anymore. I just want to be present with my kids. I took my daughter for a hike this morning. We played disc frisbee, which I'm absolutely terrible at, but we just had the best time playing it today. And just in enjoying a hot chocolate and walking through the little town and just not looking at my phone or even bringing my phone with me. It's just a different type of living.
Yeah. Yeah, no, for sure. I love that idea. And so obviously, high achievers come and they work with you. Are you creating plans? Are you sort of reminding people of what they should be doing, or allowing people to, what is this workflow, and how do you implement?
So we did the S, right, which was the subconscious rewiring. The H is the habits that heal. And the I is identity alignment. What's right for me is not right for them. That's why my job is not to give advice. My job is to ask questions, right? I ask questions, and the questions that I ask allow the person to determine what's important for them. I think the biggest mistake that we could ever have is taking somebody else's advice when it comes to business or personal relationships or lifestyle just because it fits them, right? Because anyone who looked at my life 15 years ago would have been like, oh my gosh, that's amazing. I had a beautiful place. I had a beautiful townhouse on the beach, right? Had done all these different things and lots of money, lots of time, lots of things that I was doing, always at like all the sporting events and doing this and doing that. And it's like, but I was miserable. I was working, like I said, nonstop. So that wasn't bringing me joy. But if I listen to the people and they're like, oh yeah, now you have all the things and you're doing all the things. And it's like, yeah, but I don't want to do all those things. And it just wasn't in alignment with my identity of who I wanted to be and who I was becoming, right? Because I've been becoming the person that I am now, and eventually I'll become the person that I am later. And that's the unraveling. So for other people, I definitely don't want to give someone advice. I'll map out a plan. Like once we go through their values and their identity and figuring out like what's truly important to them, because maybe it is important to them. To most of the people I'm working with are successful, but maybe they want to reach a different type of success, or maybe they want a relationship and that's really what's important to them. Cool. Then we'll work on that. But it's really just about asking the right questions for me to kind of figure out, and then I can kind of fill in the holes of different ways to get there. So they'll tell me what their end goal is, and then we reverse engineer it and say, okay, to get here, we have to first go here, but we have to start here. And the thing is if we reverse engineer it and then I say, okay, and then this leads to this, do you still really want this? Because with everything that involves, like to get there, do you still want it? Sometimes the answer is no. So I told you I was a personal trainer. So I used to train people for competitions, like bodybuilding competitions and different sports competitions and stuff. I competed in bodybuilding and figure competitions. And I know what it takes to be a fitness competitor. I know how many hours a day I was in the gym. I understand what my diet looked like, everything. And if today I decide I want to do a bodybuilding competition, and then I was working with somebody and they're like, okay, this is everything you'd have to do, I 1000% would be like, no, I'm good. I don't want to do it.
Right. Yeah. Perspective is a mofo, right?
Well, it's a lot easier to want the thing than actually do the things that you have to do to get the thing.
Yeah. So that's part of the process, is like, all right, this is what you want. This is what you're going to have to give up in order to do it or to get it.
Yeah, because you have to be willing to also give up a part of who you are for who you want to become.
Right.
Because a lot of us lie to ourselves, so this is where, a lot of these somatic integrations. So like the F is the feel to free, right? Like we have to understand what we're willing to get rid of, physical sensations, integrating parts of ourselves. And some of us really think that we want these things. Some of us really think that we are doing all the work and we're not understanding why our life is the way that it is. And that's a lot of what I get. Is like, I do all the things and I don't understand. And I'm like, but do you really do all the things? Like and what it comes down to is most people are doing 30% of the things actually.
Right.
And the rest of the action is taking place in their head.
Valid.
And I don't know if you ever did this, but as a kid, I'll never forget. I had a test to take. I was young. I was probably one of my kids' age. I was probably like 8 or 9. I had a test to take, and I literally slept with a book underneath my pillow because I thought I was going to learn.
I feel like here's my theory on it. Like visionaries and why sometimes projects don't get finished with visionaries is because they live it in their head. They see the birth of it, they see the living of it, and they see like it being fully materialized in their head, right? So maybe they don't feel like they have to finish, which is one of the good books I read, and I was mentioning it, the 6 Types of Working Genius by Pat Lencioni. One of the working geniuses is called tenacity, and it's the people that have to see a project get finished. Tenacity is not on my working genius at all, right? I'm like ideas and galvanizing. So I'll come up with the idea, I'll get everybody pumped up, and then that's about it. I will say the reason a lot of the success that I've had is because of the people that are around me have this tenacity as a working genius, where they're like, no, Armando, you told us that this was the project, so now we got to finish it, right? hallelujah,
Well,
but
you need those people. I mean,
yeah,
I tell people all the time, like, I design castles, I don't move bricks.
yeah,
I mean, that's not, I mean, if somebody wants to hire me to do something and they're expecting, like, I'm going to go, even today, like when we're walking around, I was like, there's like all these bugs and stuff. And my husband's like, remember when you asked me to build you a garden because you're going to garden? He's like, we should just make you like boy in the bubble, like where we put something around you. So like you can look at all the pretty things, but I don't want to go out there and touch them or do them. Right.
yeah.
I appreciate it, but I'm not going to be the one who does that work.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I was talking to one of my assistants, and she was like, all right, so you want me to get the meal prep and all of this stuff? And I was like, look, here's what I need. I need somebody to just map the shit out for me and just tell me what to do. Cause like I'm making thousands of decisions daily. Mm-hmm. And I don't need another decision, right? I just need somebody to go, okay, these are the things that you need. And if I just have them in my refrigerator, whatever, ready to go, I'm going to make it easy for myself, right? Instead of me having to like at every moment, come to that obstacle. And then I have to use brain power in order to like solve the problem, especially on a consistent basis. So I'm just trying right now in my life to go, all right, how can I not necessarily automate it, but make it easier to make these decisions? What's that?
I have a step for you. I can fix this problem.
Please. Yes.
So you're reaching decision fatigue, right?
Yeah.
So what I would do, honestly, I did this for my husband because my husband, you guys are going to get along when we all play golf. So I was like, he deals with the same thing. He makes decisions all day long. He still works in the treatment industry and he still travels like a madman. So he's like, I need to do something because he will just either not eat or he'll eat something totally unhealthy or he'll just grab an energy drink. And I'm like, okay, like this is not a good choice. So what I did was I took everything that like he'll eat because he won't eat leftovers. He won't eat like, we've tried the meal delivery systems. Those don't work for him because they like creep him out. Like they're like, oh, they were cold, then they were hot. Now I'm putting them in the microwave. He's like, ugh. So what I did was I took everything he likes to eat and I ran it through ChatGPT and I said, give me fast food options that are healthy fast food options or drive-through options that he can just grab and go.
Really?
Yep. So like it was literally like grab a salad, pre-made salad from Publix, which is our local grocery store, or like drive through Chick-fil-A and get like this grilled thing, whatever. So it made it super easy because it's, again, another decision that he doesn't have to make. So I also had ChatGPT go ahead and make me a actual calendar, like a food calendar that rotates the different restaurants so that it's quick and easy for him. So he knows every day where he's getting food.
I love that idea. All right. I'm ChatGPT in that for sure. On like the food that he likes, right?
Yeah. Like I just have him put him in there. It's like, okay, like I'll eat a chicken salad. Like I'll go grab this from, Fresh Market and it's like chicken salad, or Costco, grab a sandwich or whatever. That's and great. You can have it match up with the macros that you're looking, or like, again, however intense you want to be about it. Like his thing isn't because he's going to do a bodybuilding competition or anything like that. He's turning 50 this year. And for him, he's like, all right, I just want to make sure that I'm staying healthy. I'm not looking to be 180 pounds. I'm not looking to do any of that stuff, but I am looking to just be healthy and eat food.
I love that. See, that's why I love this. That's why I love the podcast. I know people are like, sometimes they use the podcast for like their listeners. And I'm like, I hope you guys get value from it, but this is what I need. So
yeah, good for you. Like that's really smart, honestly, because you make me think like, maybe I should do that and then get everyone on the podcast that I want to, really ask them some great questions.
I literally do this all the time. I'm like, okay, that's a smart person. I'm just going to treat this as like a free consultation.
I love it.
I just get it. And they're happy to give it. And I'm like, all right, let me take notes, I love that. I love that idea. I hadn't even thought about like using ChatGPT for that function. I just got the Limitless.
Mm-hmm.
Have you seen this?
Oh, is that like same thing as Plod?
Yeah. I like it better. So I don't know if with Plot it didn't give me the same thing, but like with this, you can tell it what your goals are for your life, and like it'll listen for things. So if you're like, oh, I want to listen more in life, or I want to do this more, it will tell you, it will send you like transcripts of like, this is how many times you interrupted this person. Do you know that? And this is this and this. And I'm like, wow, So anyway, I'm liking this. So it's recording all of this, obviously, and we're recording here too. Could you also, I guess you could also say it like, hey, sometimes when I'm doing like the insanity workout, I'm not eating enough food, right? So I guess it could, you could tell it that too. It's like, all right, this is how much I weigh. I'm the insanity workout. I'd like to eat the right foods during the workout to give me enough energy, but like not enough to like make the workout null and void.
Yeah, I mean, because you have to also look like if you're not having like BCAAs after your workout, like, and you're drinking your protein powder after your workout, then it's not getting enough to your muscles. Like there's like, you want to spike your insulin levels a little bit post workout so that all the protein is getting to your muscles, because as you're working out, you're actually tearing apart muscle fibers. So you have to make sure that you're having the right food after you eat. So what we eat is important, but it's also more important the combinations of foods that we eat. So like, for instance, like peanut butter and jelly sandwich, not good. Peanut butter on a cracker or peanut butter on apple, good, right? So like the combinations of foods that we pair is actually more important than some other things. And also to your brain health, you want to look at that as well, because as we start to get older, our brain starts to, slow down. So we want to make sure that we're eating foods that are healthy in fats and omegas so that we're supporting our brain health as well, so we can keep up.
How are you liking vitamins? Do you like vitamins?
So I'm not a big any type of pill person, more because of the fact that I don't enjoy swallowing the pills. Just bad experiences. So I do take a vegan omega from Juice Plus, and I do like Juice Plus gummies. And then I take a vitamin D supplement, but that's really about it. I don't take anything else. The Juice Plus gummies are amazing. I've been giving them to my kids since they were little. Knock on wood, my kids have never been sick. So never missed a day of school for being sick. Never. My daughter had a fever one time. But it was because she was getting a new tooth. But other than that, my kids have never had like fevers or sore throats or anything like that. Yeah. So I think that what we do instead is, instead of vitamins, I try to supplement with real foods. So we juice a lot. I'll send it to you. I have a cookbook and a juice book. So it's called Vibrant Living. So I'll send it over to you, and it has a bunch of juicing and food recipes as well.
Love juicing. Love it.
Oh, it's my favorite thing to do. And then you don't discard the pulp, right?
I have been. What are you doing with the pulp?
No. Okay. So you you take the pulp, you blend it up, and then you can put it in ice cube trays and then use it the next morning, frozen, and add hot water to make tea with it.
What?
Yeah.
Hold up. So you're juicing all that pulp that's in there, you're freezing it.
Yep.
And then you're making tea out of it.
Yes. So depends on the pulp. So I'll do that with pineapple, ginger, turmeric, oranges. I'll make tea with that. And then the other stuff I add to smoothies. So I'll just like make smoothie bombs, and I'll add that as like the ice cubes for my smoothies. So there's a girl that I follow on Instagram. I think it's called Scrappy Kitchen or Scrappy Cooking. But her whole thing is like how to use the scraps of everything. So even like eggshells, like how to use it to clean pans or how to use it in your garden. And like, that's the kind of stuff that like I'm obsessed with watching.
That's cool. That's really cool. I would just throw away the pulp, but that sounds cool. Like, so you get the pulp, freeze it, and then you're adding it to smoothies and you're making tea out of it.
Mm-hmm.
Like in a bag, like in a baggie. You know how like, you know, what I mean, is it just like, well, you know, it's a tea bag, right?
No. So you take the pulp and you put it in, you blend it up so you get like a little bit of a smoother liquidy consistency, and then you pour it into ice cube trays, right?
Uh-huh.
And then when you go to make your tea, you just pour hot water in the cup and you just pop out one ice cube and you put it in there, and then it just dissolves it and it just adds like a nice tea flavor.
Okay, so not like a tea bag type of deal.
No, you don't have to add a tea bag.
All right. And what is that, like apple, ginger, pineapple? Are you doing that with like the kale and the spinach and stuff?
The kale and the spinach, that's what I'm going to add to my smoothies. So I'm going to use that as like ice cubes to my smoothies. So like when you're making a smoothie and you're adding like almond milk or coconut water and like other vegetables, like fresh vegetables or fresh fruit, I'll be like, oh, I had like some kale and some blueberries or whatever. I'll throw that in there too.
Nice. Look at that. I hope you guys are taking notes. I know I am taking notes. How do people find you? How do people work with you?
Yeah, so I'm on Instagram. I have a couple offices in Florida. So anybody who's local, I have a group coaching program that we are getting ready. We were supposed to go live again in July because we just finished one of our 12-month programs, but I decided to push it forward to August just with everything going on because, with my grandma passing away. So I was like, you know what, I'm going to give myself some pause time. I came up to New Hampshire to hang out with my family. So I'm here for a little bit. And then when I come back, I'll prep for that. And then it's a 12-month group coaching program. And each month we have a different topic. So people can jump in anytime because it's not repetitive, but you'll get to stay the full 12 months and everything's recorded. So, we do 1 week where we're introducing the topic, another week where we go over the topic and really kind of dive into it. Then we have like feedback weeks, and then we have an integration week. So the feedback week is where we learn a tool on how to use that. So for instance, if we're using anchoring as a tool or hypnosis or EFT tapping, whatever the tool is, but how to then integrate that into the modality or the topic of the month.
That's great. I think what you're doing is great. Definitely added a lot of value to me. Just being in Flight Club and going, wait, what did you say about that? And how do I do that again? So thank you. I feel like I should be paying you. But I may join your cohort over here.
Yeah, we would love to have you.
Yeah, it'd be really, really cool. So guys, Maritsa, if you guys are looking to up level and you're looking for a new coach, somebody that gets it, can't speak highly enough about what you're doing and just your thought process on things. Just really, really good. So I really appreciate you being here.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having me, and I will see you next week.
Yep. I'll see you next week.